Oh, yeah. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made.
Oh. Good morning. Welcome to West Valley Center for Spiritual Living. I'm Reverend Clyde Goins, the assistant minister here, and I'm glad to be back. And, just on that song alone, I'm already missing the Bradfords. Their version of that song is only 2 minutes, not 15 minutes. So Bradfords, if you're watching, we're missing you right now. So, yeah. Anyway, yes, the Bradfords are out today. They're actually in Hawaii, vacation, and also singing at the church in Hawaii, which is really beautiful. They sent us some pictures. However, we have a wonderful guest musicians today, Clearwater Creek, that are going to be singing, and they've got some beautiful voices, and so I'm really excited to have them here at our service today. So thank you guys, and the Bradfords can rest and know that we are being taken care of. So thank you so much. All right, so now there's some announcements from the gourmets from Goddesses. Goddesses? Are the goddesses here?
Here it comes. The most exciting hour of fantastic prizes from the West Valley Center. It's the Price is Right. Now, here's the star of our Price is Right, Julie Barker.
Welcome to The Price is Right. I thank you so much. Welcome to the Showcase Showdown. The top winner in our showcase today is Ambrosia. And Basil is our runner-up. Now, each of you will have a showcase of beautiful prizes to bid on. The one of you that bids closer to the actual retail price of your own showcase without going over will win it. But if you're the winner and you are $250 or less of your own showcase, you will win both showcases. Both of them, I say. You, Ambrosia, can bid on showcase number 1 or pass it to Basil. Now, here is our first showcase.
The first showcase begins with a trip to Italy. Enjoy authentic eggplant parmesan and delectable tiramisu while you share wonderful conversations with your new friends on your one-night stay. Next, get ready to swim in your new swim spa. Enjoy the wonderful Arizona winters with a delicious taco and burrito bar, some amazing games, and dip in that fabulous swim spa.
What a fabulous showcase. All right, Ambrosia, are you going to bid or are you going to pass?
Sadly, I think I'm going to pass.
All right, she's passing to you, Basil. Will you bid on this show? What will you bid on this showcase?
I'll bid $500, Julie.
All right, $500. Now, Ambrosia, this is your showcase. This is your showcase.
Ambrosia, your showcase starts with a brand new puzzle for peace. It's a jigsaw journey to wholeness as you find peace, order through an afternoon of snacks, fun, and love. Take a peace pause and have a good time. After all that peace, get ready for a roaring good time when you go on a trip to Hollywood, dressed as your favorite movie character, and attend a real star-studded gala. It will be a whole night of food, entertainment, and celebrity guests. All of this can be yours if the price is right.
All right, Ambrosia, what is your bid?
Oh, I'm going to bid $1,000.
$1,000. Well, Ambrosia bid $1,000 on her showcase. Actual retail price, $1,199. That's a difference of $199. All right. Basil bid $500 on her showcase. The actual retail price, $489. Sorry, Basil. You overbid by $11. Ambrosia wins her showcase, and since she is within $250 of the actual retail price of her own showcase, she wins both showcases! All right, this is Julie Barker reminding you that today is the final day to bid on these and many other amazing events. Get in there and get your bids in while it lasts and help control the pet population by getting your pets spayed and neutered. Goodbye, everybody.
All right, just to clarify, the bids don't start at $500. But we will take $500 if you want to bid that. All right, so thank you guys. So again, this is our final bid. So thank you, the Gourmet for God Goddesses, doing an incredible job as always on this beautiful fundraiser. So some just a quick announcements for you. So the first one is next Sunday is our fourth Sunday of the month. So that's going to be our sound healing meditation, and that starts right after the service around 11:30. Get a snack and then come back in here, and then Kay Fontana will be providing that beautiful sound healing meditation experience. It's a love offering of $10, so please join us. We also have the Wellness Expo, which is next Saturday, October the 26th, from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., so please join in that event as well. And then on Sunday, next Sunday, it's the last Sunday of the month in October, and it's very close to Halloween, so do you know what that means? It's Dress Up Sunday. So, yes, so please come with your outfits, costumes, and be ready to have a really wonderful, well, every Sunday is a wonderful experience, but that Sunday is a little special. Yeah. She's stealing it from Julie's favorite holiday. So, anyways, all right, so that's all the great events going on. So you can go to WVSL.com for all of our information and activities, and we also have a newsletter, so you can also request a newsletter by filling out the card and dropping it in the box, and then you'll be updated on all of the wonderful events that we have going on here at the center. So that's all the announcements, so thank you very much. So let's now say our vision statement together. I'm still trying to get back in the swing of things, guys, so work with me here, okay? All right, so let's say our vision statement together. We are a loving, joy-filled community honoring the many paths to God as we learn and live the science of mind principles. And so it is. So just sit back, relax, open up your hearts and minds for the beautiful music from the Bradfords and Reverend Karen's wonderful message.
It's the Bradfords.
No? Oh, you guys singing the meditation or the meditation?
No, it's the Bradfords.
Okay, I know I'm not confused. So wait a minute. We got hold on. We got to bring everybody back down. We're going into meditation, so just relax and allow it to happen.
I will make a quiet place within my heart. I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord.
Be still, my soul, be still. Be still, my soul, be still. Be still and know.
I will make a quiet place within my mind. And I I will wait upon the Lord. Wait upon the Lord.
Be still, my soul, be still. Be still, my soul, be still. Be still and know.
I will make a quiet place within my life. And I will wait upon the Lord. Wait upon the Lord. I will make a quiet place.
Here in this place of stillness and quiet, we have come together here and now in this moment to allow that peace that passes all understanding to simply envelop us, enfold us, become acutely aware of that peace in our consciousness and in every area of life. For I know that one mind, one heart, one soul, one activity of spirit that is indeed the peace, the love, the joy, the happiness, the harmony, wisdom, clarity, kindness, compassion, health and well-being, and so much more. That power is the power that is present and in charge here today. That we have opened our hearts and our minds to allow this exquisite energy to permeate all that is. That Reverend Karen's message lifts us and shifts us to a place where we hear even more than we could have imagined. Our lives are touched in ways that we understand and many that we do not. That the music today opens our hearts and brings joy and happiness to our very, very soul. I know that this day is perfect in the mind of God, therefore it is already unfolding accordingly. So I give thanks and I release our time together out to the wisdom and clarity and the peace of the divine. And so it is. And my reading is from the Science of Mind textbook. There's a fabulous section with lots of meditations. This is, peace is the power of the heart, at the heart of God. My peace is found at the heart of God. The heart of God, for me, is found at the very center of my being. It does not matter how closely the confusion of the outer world presses against me. I am not even disturbed by the confusion in the immediate environment. I know that the only way to counteract confusion is to bring peace into play. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give unto you. Not as the world giveth, give I unto you. These words of assurance stay with me, and I hear them re-echoing in the depths of my being. Peace steals through the waiting soul. The comfort of the spirit comes into the stillness of the heart. Peace, like an ocean of infinite life, reflects itself through me and calms every turbulent feeling. I am at peace, and I rest in the knowledge of all good, which is at hand. I rest in peace. So just allow that to permeate your very being today. So it is.
Hello, we're Clearwater Creek, and we're going to sing Give Yourself to Love by Kate Wolf. And Kendra's going to put the chorus up on the screen there, so you're welcome to sing along with us.
Kind friends all gathered round. There's something I would say. What brings our house together here has blessed us all today. Love has made a circle that holds us all inside, where strangers are as family, loneliness can't hide. You must give yourself to love, if love is what you're after. Open up your hearts to the tears tears and laughter, and give yourself to love. Give yourself to love.
I've walked these mountains in the rain, learned to love the wind. I've been up before the sunshine to watch the day begin. I always knew I'd find you, but I never knew quite how. Like sunshine on a cloudy day, you stand before me now.
So give yourself to love. If love is what you're after, open up your hearts to the tears and laughter, and give yourself to love. Give yourself to love. Give yourself to love. If love is what you're after, open up your hearts to the tears and laughter, and give yourself to love. Give yourself to love. Give yourself to love. Give yourself to love.
Treat. What a treat. What a treat. You know what else would be a treat? Would you go get my glasses off my desk, please? I'd be very grateful for that. They're always fabulous. Where'd my little sticky note go here? Is this it? Let me see if I can see it without my eyes so I can remember the name of their name. Colorful? Is that part of your title? It's an adjective that you are colorful. The colorful Clearwater Creek with Trisha dragging in her friends, and so grateful you said yes. Thank you so much. We're really happy to have you here. I don't know about Mike sitting in the front row. That's going to bother me a little bit. I think we can pull that off. Good morning. Good morning. The snowbirds are coming back. I'm so happy. It's so lovely to have a community that you miss when we go and have fun in our lives. We're so happy to have Reverend Clyde back. And by the way, did you notice Reverend Sue prays different now that she's got the REV license? There's something about spiritual deepening that is, I always tell people you can read the consciousness, you can feel it. And so thank you for being a true minister. We're so grateful to have you. And that was really beautiful. I feel very well. I'm also happy Reverend Clyde is back. I missed Reverend Clyde a lot. It just felt like there was a lot more for me to worry about without sharing that load. So he's speaking a little Italiano now. He's been well fed and he enjoyed his time away, and we're so happy to have him back. The music you chose is so good for what needs to be said today and for the talk that I planned a year ago. I always do my talk titles in August. I'll probably be wrapping it up in November. But a year ago, I looked at the calendar and went, something big's happening. In October, we're probably going to need a lot of talk about how to spread the love and find our way to peace and calm. And the title of my message this morning is How to Still the Storm. How to still the storm. And I was thinking a lot when I chose these talk titles for the month, except for next week, because next week we're going to have a lot of fun because it's Halloween and it's my favorite. It's not my favorite holiday. It is my favorite Sunday to speak on because I get to dress up too. But Dr. Ernest Holmes said those words in the context of a bigger message. And I found this quote when I was planning the talk titles in the book, This Thing Called You. And here's what he said about stilling the storm. The faith that walked the troubled waters of human experience 2,000 years ago. He's referencing Jesus here. And he's talking about Jesus as being that demonstration of faith that walked the troubled waters of human experience more than 2,000 years ago. And he says that faith is at the center of our being. That faith is ours, and it is accessible at any time. He's talking about that divine sort of sweet spot in all of us, that way that we are created in the image and likeness of God. And so there's something about us that is truly God-given. We have this tremendous gift, this miraculous way even that our bodies function and know how to heal and all of those ideas. So what I like about Dr. Ernest Holmes, the founder of this teaching, I didn't used to always like. I came from a very fundamental Bible background, and it used to make me crazy when he would just make these little references without quoting, telling me where it was in the Bible and being able to look it up myself, and all of that mattered to me once. But I have come really full circle in how much I appreciate that the languaging in such a way where he talks about the troubled waters of human experience 2,000 years ago. Now I got to stop and think. It has a poetic nature to it. It's something that's divine about it that pulls us in to looking at even the Bible, the stories in the Bible in a very practical way so that we can use them and grow from them. So the story about Jesus calming the waters comes from sort of the beginning part of this great big ministry that he would embark on for a short while. And it happened on a day after a very long day of ministry where Jesus is preaching to 5,000 individuals, and miracles happen that day. We'll be talking about some of those miracles in the month of November, because we're using as our theme this year for seeding our future. Our theme is Life is Sweet, Let It Rise. So we're going to be talking about we'll be talking about some fun things. Reverend Clyde and I have some great surprises for you coming up in the month of November. But Jesus is speaking all day, and he's getting really enmeshed, and people are starting to see him. He's enmeshed in his ministry. People are witnessing miracles. He's inviting people to change their mind about the way they live and move through the experiences of their daily lives. And he's giving us this example. And at the end of the day, he's tired, and the crowd begins to disperse, and he says to the disciples, he says, I want you to take your boat and cross the lake, and then I'll meet you in the morning. They have another full day of work that they're going to all do together. And then Jesus does what he did well. It's such a good example. I wish I would personally pay more attention to these examples such as this. He was tired, so he went to the mountains. He went to the hills to recuperate, to rest, to be quiet, to be restored, and to have a communion with his Father Creator, who he called Abba. And they say that in the late mid-morning, before the sun rises, somewhere in Scripture they said in the fourth quarter of the day. So that would be between the hours of 3 a.m. and 6 a.m. They say that Jesus looked out and he saw in the middle of the lake, which in some Bible translations it's referred to as a sea. And Jesus sees that the disciples are out in this boat and that a big storm has come in and that they're in trouble, and which actually implies if he could see that far away, there's also a miraculous nature or something important in the metaphysical understanding of this scripture, of this story, because it's a really short story. But he sees they're in trouble, and so he approaches them and he walks on the water. Now think about it. It's from 3 to 6 a.m. It's still dark. And the disciples see him coming, but they think he's a ghost. They don't recognize him yet. And they think he's a ghost, and they get scared. And then Jesus says to them these great words. He says, "Do not be afraid. It is I." And I like that idea of this description of his presence where he's connecting again to that great I am. And he's speaking to them, do not be afraid. He's speaking to them from a consciousness of remembering that there's a power greater than we are, and that we can call on it. And at times like this, in a big storm, that it's an important time to remember not to rely on your own processes, the way your mind thinks, and the way sometimes we get scared and we can't think straight. Do not be afraid, it is I. So then it says in the account, it says that they were greatly amazed. And by the way, there's some agreement in several translations that the disciples were greatly amazed, but why they were amazed changes depending on what Bible translation you're reading. One of it said, because their hearts had hardened. Another one said, because their minds were closed. But I think Eugene Peterson captured it in a really dynamic way, which I often like Peterson's version best, because it's not a real translation of the Bible, it's just paraphrased. Eugene Peterson is just a minister who had a passion for Scripture and wanted people to see the humanity in it and the way we could really use Bible. So Peterson said that they were greatly amazed because none of this had penetrated yet into their hearts. See, so it's not that their hearts had hardened or that their minds were closed as much as it was early in the ministry of Jesus, and they were learning these great big truths that he was bringing to them, these other optional ways of looking at the experiences we go through in life and how we can apply spiritual principle to it. So the calm and the way he calms the storm or the troubled waters. And I like how Dr. Holmes then said that he used it as an image of the troubled waters of human experience. Now that broadens it for us in such a way that we can see the symbolism of the storm is applicable to us in dozens of ways. So the disciples in the boat had not quite realized yet what was possible for them, and there's a way for us to live through every storm by giving love to ourselves. Such a good talk title. A theme for this talk, a really good line from that music. As I thought about that, this story, I remembered that beautiful painting from, it's kind of awe-inspiring. I don't know that everybody would describe it beautiful, but I see great beauty in it. That classic Rembrandt painting of the disciples in this small boat in a very scary-looking storm. And it's representing just a little sneak peek of this passage that we are talking about here. I gave earlier in the year, I did a whole talk on the Rembrandt painting, and I find that painting is, I actually ordered a little reprint for myself of it, a little poster print that I can have in my home, because it's so haunting and intriguing and beautiful, and reminds me continually that there's a power that's greater than I am, and that I can call on it. The looks on the faces of the disciples is this terror. You can see them hanging on. One of them is leaning over the front of the boat, retching. But there's this image of Jesus just sitting there, peaceful and calm, because there is this assurance from his consciousness, the belief and the understanding that he brings to how we calm the stormy sea. So I think that we want to look at our own sort of miraculous moments, because we all have stories. We've all been through scary stuff. And I think it's only natural to understand that when something really frightening happens, like being in a crazy storm at sea, whether it's a metaphorical story or a real experience, we know these things happen. And that when because we understand how the body and the mind are connected, when we get stirred to an extreme like that there's an after effect of it, right? I lived in California for so many years and went through so many earthquakes, and my body has that, the fight or flight. I fly. I end up in places and I don't know how I got there, and everybody laughs. And I notice that if you're with a group of people, when that happens, that we settle down in combat, that I can feel that stirring inside of me, that even though I know everything is safe and okay, it's very disturbing, and it takes our bodies a while to recuperate from that. I had a gorgeous, miraculous healing around the way fear shows up in our body. I mean, really think about it. Even a very bad dream, you can wake up in the middle of the night while you're having a really bad nightmare, and your body, your heart will be pumping and your breath will be shallow, and sometimes you have to walk it off a while. There's an energy that happens in our body, and it was just a dream. It wasn't even real. But our body doesn't know how to make that difference, right? The body just has these responses that are completely normal. Well, one night, a long time ago, must have been in the year 2000 or 2001, because I was just finishing my practitioner license. I was getting ready to test for that big event. And we were in our home at the beach, and the house was on a hill with a bunch of mature pine trees around it in every way, but the ocean was right in front of us. And a squall moved in off the sea, and it really was the worst storm I ever encountered there in that region. This is the central coast of California. And the power went out, and it was kind of late at night, and it's so dark we were still awake. And then all of a sudden, a huge pine tree went down right across the street from us, and miraculously it fell between two homes, and a car got smashed, but nobody got hurt, and no home was severely damaged in that fall anyhow. And I was so scared when that tree hit the ground. It felt like the cabin, the foundation just lifted right up off the ground. It was so loud and stirring. And my husband said, "Well, I'm going to bed now." And I went, please don't leave me alone. And he goes, "I'm not. Come to bed with." No, I am not going up there. Trees are falling in the neighborhood, and I'm not going up there. I don't feel safe. Please don't go up there. And so now I'm alone with no power, and all of those physiological things are happening in your body. And plus now I'm mad because he left me there scared. And so I found, I made a nest in the little bathroom that was downstairs because it was partly under the stairway. And I thought, well, that looks to me like the safest place I could possibly put my body. And I'm laying on the floor, scared to death. And then suddenly I had this thought. You've been studying prac studies. You have a lot of skills. You got tools. Why are you cowering in a bathroom? And I'm thinking, because I'm scared. Because he's upstairs. He left me alone. And dang it, he left me alone again. And so I'm laying in the bathroom, and I'm sort of scolding myself for not doing a better job at dealing with my fear. See how we can have a judgment when you start getting a little awareness, and then you suddenly think, well, maybe I shouldn't be this scared, but you have a natural reaction in your body. And now I'm doing sort of battle with my body. And suddenly, this is one of the first times this happened to me in such a big way. I heard a voice, not like a voice talking to me, but I heard in my head. I heard in my head a passage from A Course in Miracles that I had never memorized. I was familiar with it, but I didn't set out to know it. And in a time of trouble where I am questioning why I'm so scared, I hear this word being quoted back to me, and it says this: "When you are afraid, it is a sure sign you are trusting in your own strength. When you are afraid, it is a sure sign you are trusting in your own strength. So that was a profound moment. And by the way, I did not feel necessarily better. I was still frightened. But it was such a profound awareness that there is something that happens in that physiological way that we sort of feel like we need to keep the trees in place. And I think we're all doing that right now. We're trying to keep the storm out of our home or out of our neighborhood or out of our life. And, you know, it's just life. Storms come and storms go. And I think it's why I love this song so much. As I was writing the message, and Trisha gave me a copy of the lyrics, and I kept looking at that line where it said, just give yourself to, how does it say it? Give yourself to love. Give yourself to, it's the name of the song, I think, isn't it? Give yourself to love. Can we, in those moments where we recognize how stirred that we are, can we just take a breath and trust God and give ourselves to love? Because love is the opposite of fear. Love is the antidote to fear. So the teaching that we talk about every Sunday in this sanctuary and in every class we teach and in every New Thought church that exists gives the same lessons, is that our thoughts matter. What you think about shows up in how you live. What you believe is always outpicturing as a part of your experience in your very own life. So our thoughts matter, and our beliefs influence the story that we're living. And we learn that we do have the power to redirect those thoughts. That we can maybe not calm the storm in an instant when we're really upset. I think it's really helpful to give yourself credit to know that the body has a way it functions, and it might take a little while to calm down the innards. But the bottom line, and what I really hope you can hear this morning, is that you are not a victim to the thoughts that are moving around in your head. And I'm not a victim to the thoughts that are moving around in my head. The only way you could be a victim to what you think is if you don't use the power to change your mind. So it's a perfect tool to acknowledge, I'm scared right now, or I'm angry right now, or I'm really disappointed that things didn't work out the way I wanted to, so that we can know how to redirect the thoughts that come next. We can participate in choosing what it is to how we want to use it. Jesus calmed the storm because Jesus used the mind of God. The Christ consciousness is the way we tap into that idea of the mind of God, or that higher wisdom that abides within us at all times. And you know what's funny is, like, now we've been preaching this stuff. A New Thought's been around for 100 and some years, and now neuroscience is just kind of validating everything that we've been saying. We were just making it up before. We were pretty sure it was accurate, and now neuroscience and neuroplasticity. You know what I like about that term is the plastic nature of and the old metaphysicians always use that term plastic. And so when I hear them talk about neuroplasticity, I think, oh man, we're looking at the way the world is coming full circle yet again. And yes, there are lots of things going on in the world, and sometimes it feels like a bad dream we wish we could wake up from. And I think that the real problem is that it feels like the entire universe is quaking, and shaking. And the reality is that the quaking and the shaking is what goes on inside of us as individuals. Kind of Elvis, like, we're all shook up. Do you remember when you were a little kid and it was fun to spin yourself in circles and get dizzy? I know not everybody relates to that, but most kids have an experience. Even toddlers, it doesn't take much before they learn. You can spin around, and then it looks like the world is moving, and of course the world's not really moving. But that used to be fun. There were like merry-go-round toys at the parks that I think must have been really dangerous. I don't see them anymore. But those big metal things, and we would get on them, and we would hang on to the middle. Or if you were one of the workers, you'd get out on the edge, and you'd grab the metal bar and you'd use your foot in the sand to get it like a scooter, like you'd get a scooter moving, and you'd get it spinning, and then everybody would be squealing, and it was fun. And I'm never sure why we do those things. Why would that be fun? Now, as an adult, that doesn't sound fun at all to me. As an adult, I'm like, why does Disneyland have those spinning teacups? Does anybody really like to be in a spinning teacup? Life makes me dizzy just thinking about it sometimes. Or what about that one at the fair, at the LA County Fair in Pomona, California? It was right near our house. We lived in Covina, but it was a shade over there. And Gary Hampton has raced at that racetrack. How many times do you think you raced your car at the Pomona Raceway? At least 3 times. And how many times have you been there? Have you been there more than that? No, because you didn't grow up where I did. Yeah, we went there a lot, and we could hear those drag races from our home, and it was a thrilling time. It was always fun for us because they're very loud. But remember at the county fair how they used to, maybe they still do, I don't know, I haven't been to a county fair in forever, but they used to have that ride it was like a thing, and you walk in it and you stand against the wall, and then it starts to turn really fast, and then the centrifugal force of this spin with a bunch of human beings standing there, and then it goes up on an angle, and now you're going, while it's spinning around, and then the floor drops out, and it doesn't look like many of you remember that. Oh, yeah? Okay, all right, very good, yeah. Why did we do that? I would not do that now. And then there's that guy on a motorcycle that goes in and you watch from the top, and I'm now as an adult, I'm thinking like, why would we stand there and watch? What if the whole, oh well. Anyhow, it used to be fun. Now we go to the doctor for it. They call it vertigo. We get a prescription. Or worse, the doctor says, you have little crystals in your inner ear. You need to lay on the bed, and you need to flip from this side to this side, to this side, to this. Every adult that I've had and been involved in their care, in giving them care, who's been told they need to do that, refuses to do that. And you know what the excuse is? It makes me dizzy. And it's very common. So yes, we mature and we realize we don't like those e-ticket rides. We don't need that much stirring and spinning in our lives. And we sort of begin to long for a little more peace and calm. And the dissension in the world right now I believe it disturbs the majority of us. I don't think it's a minority of people that don't like all that disturbance. We all want a little more love. We all want a little more peace. We all want a little more stability. We want to find a sense of equilibrium just in the way we move through our days. I got to tell you something. I brought this. I got to tell you now so I don't forget. These are, I don't have enough for everybody. But I'm going to have Sue put them on the prayer altar in the back. And it's a prayer that I pulled off the minister's listserv. Now, I've been reading the minister's listserv for almost 20 years, and I do read it religiously. I stay on top of everything that's going on. And actually, it's how I get a lot of the news about what's going on in the world. I get it through the mouths and the prayers of other ministers. And every day, a minister posts a prayer. So once a year, you can sign up And you get one day of the month, so like every third day of every month, a certain minister will post a prayer. So we need about 31 ministers to volunteer to do this. And the prayers are fascinating because you're hearing them in the voices of different people study in different areas and ways, and they, everybody has their own personality. And a minister wrote recently, I think it was October 7th, a lovely woman from Northern California named Reverend Jacqueline Edwards wrote a fabulous poem that is about the world situation without making a big deal about it, but with reverence and power. And it's just a really, really good poem. And I printed it because I'm teaching practitioner students, and I'm sharing examples of these are illustrations of how people pray. This is how you use the 5 steps of treatment when you personalize it and own it. And so I printed the prayer, but then when I was writing this talk, I thought I couldn't get her out of my head. Reverend Jacqueline Edwards from Northern California. She said some amazing things. And so I printed both her comments and then the prayer she wrote for us ministers as we deal with our daily stuff right now. And she said something really interesting. She said something I've never thought about. She said, for more than 100 years, I think she said millions. I was going to say thousands. She said, for more than 100 years in New Thought communities, we have literally declared millions of times, let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me. The Bradfords just had us singing it 2 or 3 weeks ago in this sanctuary. And Reverend Jacqueline said, it's time for us to shift that up. It's time for us to see the collective. It's time for us to begin to say, let it begin with us, with all of us. So we're looking at a collective. We're looking at believing it's possible to shift a consciousness. And we are, we're looking at taking the time to imagine that that's possible, to envision it, to see it, to see the world that we want to see ourselves the way we want to be, the way we want to show up every day. And by envisioning and imagining and seeing it and praying it and affirming it, we are a part of calling it into being a reality. So she's suggesting that we broaden our view. It is not an opportunity to stop knowing I have to be the change. It has to start with me. And can I then imagine that it could be us? So it's kind of a backwards way of looking at it, but it really excited me because it's the kind of question I ask myself all the time. Who do you want to be? Who do you want to be, Miss Karen? Tomorrow, next week, in 5 years, who do you want to be and how do you want to show up? How do you want to be living your life? What do you want to be doing? And what do you believe is the highest and best possible for this world, for my family, for all the people I care about and the people I don't know even? So Reverend Jackie then went on to say, and these are her words, she said, this stuff makes me think. The changes we are experiencing on the planet right now, the changes we all are experiencing are changes in the neural pathway of the consciousness of humanity. Right? So we're beginning to understand the science behind it. It ain't easy to change the neural pathways in our own individual minds. But she's saying the changes that we're seeing and we're experiencing are changes in the neural pathways of the consciousness of humanity. And this is the very thing that anchors us to our divinity in uncharted and amazing ways. I love language like that. I keep hearing echoing in my own heart. I bet you do too. I bet some of you do too. Those scriptures from 1 Corinthians on love. I mean, if nothing else, you've probably heard them at a wedding once or twice. Faith, hope, and love. Abide in these things. Faith, hope, and love. To abide in something means stay in it, stand in it, accept it, be it, choose it, be these things, faith, hope, and love. So when I go back to that quote from Dr. Holmes when he said that, or the title of the message, How to Still the Storm. Well, how did Jesus still the storm? Or, what is the message behind that story where the storm was stilled, was quieted, was calmed by a consciousness that we refer to as the Christ consciousness? And then if I personalize those questions, how can I still the storms of my own moods? How can I quiet my own fears when my innards are quaking? I like that as an affirmation, those words of Holmes. The faith that walked the troubled waters so long ago is right at the center of my being. It's accessible. And the reason it's accessible to me is because the place within me, that's the place where God abides. Every living being has a tiny little piece of that divine DNA within us. And that it abides there all the time. It's how our bodies function. There's a massive intelligence that has to be ongoing just in order for us to do the things we take for granted every day. The parallel about the idea that Jesus would have walked on the water is that, of course, with faith and hope and love and really understanding the divinity that abides within you, then you can exhibit that same Christ consciousness. I mean, none of us will be Jesus, but he came as this example for us to see that there are ways we can be using some of these tools in our own existence, and I think they're more relevant than ever before. So there's a lifestyle that Jesus lived that's been recorded that we can emulate. There's a consciousness that we can look to embody. There's a way of thought in which we strive to be learning and expanding our spiritual understanding, our acceptance and love and forgiveness of each other constantly. We're constantly growing. This is a lifelong learning process. And so I have for you a 3-step takeaway. I don't know why that was so hard to say. I have a 3-step takeaway for you today, and it's very simple. It's faith, and it's hope, and it's love. Faith is the confidence that there are eternal truths, that there are spiritual realities that we forget about when we're trying to live. Fight or flight is an instinct within us. But bigger than that are these great spiritual truths that God is. That God is right where you are all the time, right now, no matter where you are, no matter what situation you're moving through. And my ask is, like often I plead, try not to be judgmental when you're laying on the bathroom floor thinking you should be more enlightened than as much fear as you're feeling. Try not to be judgmental about those times. Because we forget, but then we can remember. We wake up and we return to truth again. And we return to that power and that presence because God is with you. That power and that presence is with you always and in all ways. When I am afraid, it is a sure sign I'm trusting in my strength, and I've forgotten that the power of God is right there with me in that tiny little bathroom. And that there is a wisdom within me that can whisper those sweet words and remind me of greater truths. And the more that I study, the easier those words come. So faith is where we start. And then hope is the next word. But let's be very, very clear here. This is not hope like, I hope you feel better. This is not hope like, I wish my son wouldn't make that decision. Hope is a positive, in this frame of reference, we're talking about hope as a positive, affirmative expectation that we see as a shining light that guides us. That when the world looks dark and scary, or a circumstance we find ourselves in is made us feel like we're in the dark, that hope is the divine illumination that brings us back to our God senses. So it's a positive expectation. The hope is that we can fully give ourselves to love. And this is a great place to stand on such a truth, because the opposite of hope is despair. And in despair, it's very dark. So we want to keep that positive expectation alive in us. Pay attention to the things you long for. Pay attention to the urges you feel when things aren't going well. The times that you do really wish things would be better. That's a divine urge in you, reminding you to shine that divine illumination on this, to focus on it, to put your attention on it in such a way that we grow the positive potential. And that we then are calling forward something greater. And that it is not us trying to do this work alone. It is something that is greater than we are. So when you are feeling an ache inside of you for the world, or the election, or your next door neighbor, or something going on in the lives of your children, if you feel that urge and it feels scary or sad or worrisome, why don't we instead think of it like it's God tapping you on the shoulder? Yoo-hoo! I'm still here. You feel that? That thing that doesn't feel good right now? Give your burdens to me, God says. I will lighten your load. So that song, Give Yourself to Love, there's a line in that song. It was really fun for me when you guys sang it. Love has made a circle. Yes, love makes a circle. The circle is the eternality of life. The circle is the allness of God. We teach that nothing exists outside that circle. So that circle holds us inside of it. Love makes a circle and then stretches your heart. And when our hearts have been stretched, then we can be big for God. And when we're big for God inside of us, then love can flow like crazy, madly, wildly. And then it's not just you that improves. It's not just you that feels better. It becomes an energy that ripples out and touches other people as well. Carl Menninger of the Menninger family, the American psychiatrist, and their family created the Menninger Foundation in Topeka, Kansas. Carl Menninger said this: love is a medicine for the sickness of the world. It is a prescription that is often given, yet it is too rarely taken. Carl Menninger is famous for saying that love cures people, both those who give love and those who receive love. So never forget, faith, hope, and love abide in these things, but then there's that powerful line. I know some of you have been waiting for it. But always remember, the greatest of these is love. For indeed, love is the most powerful force in the universe. And that's what I wanted to say today. Take a breath. Take a nice, deep, holy breath. And feel the love of God within you. For there is no place where God is missing or limited. God is ever present in every place, at every moment. And I feel that love of God right here, right now. I feel it stirring inside of me. And I know that it is the same experience of the activity of life wherever you are right now as you listen to the words of this powerful prayer. We just open ourselves to be carried by this beautiful music. For we know yet again that we are held sweetly in the hands of God. That there indeed is a guiding force on this planet. A force for life, a force for peace, the force of love itself, and it abides within each and every one of us. It's so good to remember that no matter what is going on in our affairs, in the outside world, that within, deep within, is a spiritual reality. That the peace of God abides there and is always untouched by outer events. So we take that peace and we call on it and we use it and we call it forward. We do not lose hope. We do not lose that divine illumination, for we know that it is always glowing inside of us. And it is simply the readjustment of our attention that fuels it and fires it so that spark becomes a flame of truth. And so as we stand in this with new awareness, as we recognize that our fear is just a call to prayer, that is a reminder that something is tapping us on the shoulder, calling us to take a stand for love, to be a presence of peace, to not have judgment on ourselves if our actions were not as upstanding as we wished, but rather to know that it's just a call to rise a little higher, to trust a little deeper, to have faith in the way that the mind of God is one with our mind. And so we live and we move and we have our being in this consciousness. We see these examples of calming the stormy seas, and we understand that the sense of aftershock, the quaking that we feel inside, is just an echo of past things. And that all of our tomorrows are fully blessed with the grace of God, that the path is well lit, that the truth is quickening within us even as we hear the words of this prayer. And so I know that these words awaken the wisdom within us. So if there is anything that ails us or our loved ones, this intelligence that created us is also the same intelligence that is revealing new levels of truth, is healing what looks like something that is holding back our good, and yet what we know is it's just a call for more love. So we love our bodies and we love ourselves and we love each other, and we trust in this healing remedy that is love itself. And I know therefore our relationships are blessed. We experience new levels of forgiveness and acceptance of each other. For if God is for giving, we must be for receiving. So I say thank you, God. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you, life. How wonderful it is to feel that sense of opening, the receptivity, our willingness to be healed and whole and to reveal greater truths of our own paths. I am grateful, for I know that as each one does their part, it becomes a time where we do our part for peace. And we do our part for peace for us, for the collective of all humanity. And I know this is good. In fact, I know it to be very good. So I feel and acknowledge the gratefulness in my own heart as I gently release these words into the divine law. Like the seed, like the soil and the seed, the law receives this prayer. And we know it comes to fruition perfectly and easily. I release it and let it be, and together we say, and so it is. Amen, amen. Doing so we have a slight little change. Since the Bradfords are not here, we have Reverend Clyde that's going to take over.
Reverend Karen's trying to steal my thunder again. All right, so we were not going to be doing the grateful song, and just know that we are grateful in our hearts. Yes, we have. We've heard it. So now is the time to celebrate the abundance of our lives and the abundance of our community. And so remember that we do not pass around the offering plate. We welcome all gifts through the drop boxes that we have in the back of the room. And so we appreciate any tithes, donations, gifts that you give to us. And then also want to remind everybody we have call to prayer right after service. So please come up and pray with Reverend Sue after service for if you would like a prayer. So that is it. Now we will. I'll turn it back over to the Clearwater Creek. Oh, I do want to say the giving affirmation first. Let's say it together. I live in a consciousness of good. Divine love blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God, and so it is.
When the Bradfords asked us to fill in today, we've discovered normally what's sung is Good to Be Alive, and we happen to know a song called Great to Be Alive, so we're going to do our version. And the song was written by Ron Wright. And do you want to tell a little background on how that song came about?
Ooh, it's all about hiking the Grand Canyon, and it feels so great to be alive when you're in the canyon.
And how many times have you hiked the Grand Canyon?
Oh, I think it's 14.
So feel free to stand up like we usually do with Good to Be Alive. And when we do the chorus, feel free to get into it. Great to be alive. And hum along.
Are you ready? It's so great to be alive. It's so great to be alive.
Great to be alive.
Dancing all across my face. Canyon walls reaching up to space.
Canyon walls.
Across the wonder of the world. It's so great to be alive.
Great to be alive.
Yeah, it's such a beautiful sight. Now you're right by my side.
My side.
So great to be alive. dissipating my blues.
Standing on the rim, ready to hike in.
It's so great to be alive.
Great to be alive. All across my face.
It's so great to be alive.
Great to be alive. Beautiful sunlight by my side.
It's so great to be alive. It's so great to be alive.
All right, thank you. Way to close the Sunday service. Great to be alive. It does feel that way. All right, so thank you, and thanks for joining us for service. And so let's say our closing affirmation together. Repeat after me. I am never alone,
I am never alone.
and I allow Spirit to support and guide me.
Spirit to support and guide me.
And so it is.
Amen. Thanks for being here. Remember, pray often, love much.